Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a great morning, and it is a great pleasure to be standing beside you. Let me just begin by saying that in this election it is evident that Canadians have the opportunity to choose between very different leaders and very different priorities. What is not always as evident as that, however, is just how different the teams of candidates are. But it certainly becomes clear when you get to know them. As the son of a parliamentarian, I'm not the only son of a parliamentarian. I've spent a good part of my life watching the Liberal Party in government and being part of the Liberal Party in government. And every couple of generations, the party has a great influx of new talent. The 1960s, the 1990s are an example of this. And let me tell you, the candidates that Justin Trudeau has recruited to run as Liberals across the country, Canadians from every background and walk of life, and who are represented by those who are gathered here today, meet both the threshold of our history. They're among the finest groups of candidates, I think, ever to represent themselves for our party, and they are certainly of a quality that none of our opponents can match. It is a team that is experienced, able, proven, and ready. Ready to give the middle class new hope and a new start. Ready to create the kinds of jobs that Canadians can count on. Forme une équipe économique d'hommes et de femmes parmi les plus compétents que j'ai connus. Une équipe qui rassemble le meilleur des milieux financiers et économiques du Canada. Vous avez devant vous une équipe qui a fait ses preuves et qui est prête à passer à l'action. Prête pour redonner espoir et un nouvel élan à la classe moyenne. Prête à créer des emplois solides sur lesquels les Canadiens et les Canadiennes peuvent s'appuyer. The candidates before you constitute as strong as an economic team as I have ever seen. A team that is drawn from the very best of Canada's business and economic life. Former ministers who have been on the front lines, business leaders whose success is a matter of public record, economists who have led the field, and economic commentators who are well ahead of their time. The skills and experience of this team are what Canada requires, for quite simply, Canada needs competent economic leadership of the kind that has been nowhere to be found in the federal government of Ottawa for almost over a decade. This will not be the first time that Liberals have been put to the test. When we took office in the early 1990s, Canada had the worst deficit and debt record of the G7 countries. Our most cherished social programs were in danger. We knew we had to act quickly, and we did. We tackled our spending not because we saw balanced budgets as an end into themselves, but because we saw them as the means to a greater end. 3 years later, the deficit was history, and we were able to start investing in the future. Liberal governments went on to table 8 budget surpluses in a row. We cut the government debt, something that no government had done in over 50 years. And we brought Canada's debt ratio down from one of the highest in the G7 to one of the lowest. This is what Liberals do when faced with a challenge. They meet it head on, and they solve the problem. This requires the skills, this requires the experience of a strong team. And while the challenges today are different, very different than a generation ago, they are no less severe. But the Liberal Party, again, has the right team, made up of the right people, to take on the vacuum that has been left by the Conservative government for the last 9 years. The need for economic growth to create jobs, social programs to protect the most vulnerable among us. There is a reason, you know, that we have a federal government in this country. There is a reason that we have a central government. The central government's role is not to be an idle observer of the passing scene, but it's to do something about it when there are problems, and it's to take advantage of our opportunities. So who are these people who will meet the challenge of rebuilding the economy? Well, let me introduce some of them to you, and then the leader will take over. Ralph Goodale. Deputy leader, former Minister of Agriculture and Minister of Finance. In fact, he is the last Canadian finance minister to ever run a surplus. Canada saw strong economic growth. We had balanced budgets, declining debt, lower taxes, and consistent investment in the future. Scott Bryson, former Minister of Public Works and Receiver General of Canada, co-chair of the party's Economic Council of Advisors, and one of the most effective members when it came to holding the Conservatives and their dismal economic record to account. John McCallum, former Minister of Revenue, Defense, Minister of Financial Institutions, and former Chief Economist for the Royal Bank of Canada, consulted by governments throughout the country. And I can tell you, I was on his phone all the time when I was the Minister of Finance. Chrystia Freeland, co-chair of the party's Economic Council of Advisors. Chrystia Freeland, one of the world's most respected economic commentators and a pioneering expert on income inequality, whose insights brought the issue to the global stage. Jean-Yves Duclos, titulaire d'un doctorat en économique de la London School of Economics, auteur de nombreuses publications et président de l'Association canadienne d'économie. Il est directeur du département d'économique de l'Université Laval. Bill Morneau. Bill Morneau is an outstanding businessman. Bill Morneau created the largest human resources firm in Canada, Morneau Chapelle. He is a special advisor to the Ontario government on pensions. And I can tell you something, you cannot have a conversation with Bill Morneau and not be impressed by the depth of his economic grasp and by how deeply he cares for his country. These people, and those who will now be introduced by the leader, all of whom represent the Liberal candidates across the country, have demonstrated they know how to build businesses, to create jobs, invest in Canadian needs, to balance budgets, to grow the economy, and to reduce the government's debt ratio. I am so proud to be here on this stage today with them. Canada needs real economic change. Let there be no doubt about it. And this is the team, and Justin Trudeau is the leader that will make it happen.
Thank you for that warm welcome. Thank you all for being here today. It's great to be back in Scarborough, and it's wonderful to be here with leading members of our economic team. But thank you especially for joining us today, my friend Paul Martin. My friends, there is a fundamental truth that Mr. Martin, Prime Minister Chrétien, and Liberals everywhere understand. One that our current government has apparently forgotten. That is, investing in the middle class creates jobs and growth. Les conservateurs ne semblent pas avoir compris une chose fondamentale. C'est en investissant dans la classe moyenne que nous créerons de la croissance et des emplois. Jobs and growth are crucial to balancing the budget. That's what made Canada successful in the 90s. That's what brought better job growth and less federal debt. That's what brought the unemployment rate down to its lowest level in 25 years. It's what brought us a better economy and rising incomes and surplus after surplus after surplus. Mr. Martin's economic vision was broad and clear. It included everybody. It helped to create the Kelowna Accord. Mr. Martin saw that improving economic opportunities for First Nations communities, particularly youth, is key to ensuring our collective economic prosperity. Hear, hear, hear. That's the thing about change, my friends. You can't just say you'll change things. You have to know how to make change happen. Which means, in order to make a real positive difference and to build an economy that works for the middle class, leadership means a strong team. This is a tougher economy than it needs to be for the middle class and those working hard to join it. It's tougher than it needs to be because Mr. Harper's plan has failed. His plan has failed because it's based on a poor judgment call. The Conservatives believe that the way to grow the economy is to make wealthy people wealthier, right, to give the most to those who need the least. Yeah. Well, we've seen the results. Mr. Harper has the worst growth record of any Prime Minister since R.B. Bennett in the depths of the Great Depression in the 30s. We are 15th in growth in the G20 and the only G7 economy currently in recession. Things show no signs of getting better. In fact, as Stephen Harper steers us back into recession, it shows every sign of getting worse. As for Mr. Mulcair, well, he has no answers. He says he'll help the middle class, but he won't. He won't raise taxes on the wealthiest 1%. He won't give a tax break to the middle class. And he won't stop giving Mr. Harper's government checks to millionaires. Simply put, he has no plan to grow the economy. That's not change. We need change. Real change. We need... We need the right plan, and importantly, the right team to put it in place. This is why I'm so proud of our Liberal economic team, a team with the strength to grow the economy. Growing the economy is a team sport. So is governing this country. For 10 years, we've had a lone wolf Prime Minister. Stephen Harper's economic team can fit in a very small room. All he needs is one chair and a mirror. I see things differently. I think leadership today is about attracting great people and giving them great responsibility. My friends, this team behind me is as strong a group of economic leaders that has ever stood for office in this country. I am deeply, deeply honored to have them as a vital part of my team. I'll be working very, very hard over the next 2 months to earn the privilege to call them your government. Les Canadiens ont besoin de changement. Ils veulent du changement. Pour ça, il faut une équipe. Il faut un plan. Mon équipe économique et moi avons le bon plan pour changer ensemble. Le plan de M. Harper est clairement un échec, car il nous entraîne dans une deuxième récession. Mais il semble penser que la situation va se régler avec la pensée magique. M. Mulcair, lui, veut vous faire croire qu'il a un plan, mais c'est un mirage. De belles promesses que même lui sait qu'il ne pourra pas tenir. C'est le temps pour un vrai leadership, ambitieux, inclusif, rassembleur. C'est pourquoi je suis si fier de vous présenter mes collègues qui contribueront à remettre le Canada sur les rails de la saine gestion économique. Leur expérience variée contribuera à renforcer la classe moyenne, à créer des emplois et à stimuler notre économie. In a changing global market, Canada needs to be at the forefront. That's why having technology leaders like Jonathan Wilkinson, Jesse Adcock, and François-Philippe Champagne on our team is so important. Entrepreneurs, whether it's Randy Boissonneau, Selena Caesar-Chavannes, or Kim Rudd, know how to create jobs and get people working. Bill Morneau has grown a small company into one of the most successful firms on the continent. His firm helps North American businesses ensure their employees have the benefits and retirement plans they need to be healthy, productive, and financially secure. Notre équipe libérale inclut des professionnels du monde des finances, comme Navdeep Bains, Francesco Sorbara, Lawrence Wu et Emmanuel Dubourg, des spécialistes en aérospatial comme Léona Alsev, et des économistes de renommée mondiale comme Jean-Yves Duclos, qui a été directeur du département d'économie de l'Université Laval. As for Chrystia Freeland, she literally wrote the book on the decline of the middle class. Experience in government also matters, and our Liberal team has plenty. 3 former provincial ministers, Robert Morrissey, Marianne Mahaichuk, and Judy Foote, are on our Liberal team. Jim Carr brings the knowledge he gained as the CEO of the Business Council of Manitoba and his years as an MLA in that province. Now, everyone, except Mr. Harper, it seems, knows that in order to get our resources to market, we're going to need a new relationship with First Nations communities. Nobody gets that more than Jody Wilson-Raybould, the former BC Regional Chief of New South Wales. And allow me to reintroduce 3 more former ministers. Scott Bryson, Canada's youngest Receiver General and former Minister of Public Works. John McCallum, former Chief Economist for the Royal Bank of Canada and Minister of National Revenue and National Defence. And now, one of my opponents has recruited a man who balanced a budget in Saskatchewan. Well, I'm proud to have Ralph Goodale, a man from Saskatchewan, who balanced the budget for all of Canada. Voilà à quoi ressemble une solide équipe économique. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what a strong economic team looks like. When I accepted the leadership of this party, I said I would begin, spend, and end every day working hard to build a team and a plan that would make this economy work for the middle class. That team is ready. That plan is ready. We're ready to turn this economy around. We're ready to invest in our middle class. We're ready to help create well-paying jobs. We're ready to lift 315,000 kids out of poverty. This is the team that'll do it. This is the team that will make real change happen. My friends, we want to build an economy that works for the middle class, because when you have an economy that works for the middle class, you have a country that works for everyone. Well, together, we're going to build that country.